folks. Welcome to another live post-game reaction show. Round 2 begun tonight. Game 1, the Toronto Maple Leafs hung on as best they could, winning the game 5-4. It was not lacking in exciting moments and momentum swings and you name it. My name is Kyle Andrew. This is the Toronto Sports Rush Network, brought to you by Bet Rivers, and I am joined, of course, by lead NHL Network analyst, Mr. EJ Hradek. EJ, we have to lead with Anthony Stolarz. He was knocked out of the game quite literally by Sam Bennett.
Yeah, well, apparently, I mean, he took a shot, I think, off the mask earlier. Then later in the game, I believe it was early in the second period, he on a scramble in front of them. It was a Florida power play. Bennett came through the crease, got him right across the side of the head with an elbow. The whistle was blown in that moment, and you could see Stolarz trying to clear his head. He stayed in the game for another about 10 minutes of real time. Then he skated to the bench, and as we later saw in video from the broadcast, he got sick over by the bench. They had a bucket there for him. He left the game, and then subsequently now there has been a report that he was stretchered out of the building and to the hospital. So we could only keep good thoughts for Anthony Stolarz. Hopefully that it was precautionary in nature that they did that, but obviously we'll all be keeping an eye on that and hope that he's okay. More than anything else that goes on in these things, we hope for the safety of the players at all times.
Yeah, that's fair. And I think there's not much use in speculating what happened, what happens from here. It didn't look good. It didn't look good for him, but we wish him the best of luck recovering from that, the best of health. And let's hope all of that what was done was in fact precautionary. And let's move on to what we saw on the ice tonight beyond injuries. And the Toronto Maple Leafs hung on. They started really hot. They gave back some of the momentum, but they got the job done at home.
Well, I mean, this is the Stanley Cup playoffs, right, Kyle? We've seen this all first round, these back and forth games. There's swings of emotion. I thought Toronto came out right from the start, scored 33 seconds into the game, played extremely well in the first period. Florida was on their heels. I don't think Florida, for whatever reason, really realized they had a tiger by the tail here in the Toronto Maple Leafs, who have been eliminated year after year after year early on in the playoffs. As we've said all year long, this is a different Leafs team. They're more of a contender, and they played like that early in the game. There was a nice reverse hit from McCabe, delivered a really big blow there in the corner early in the game. And, that's good. You're going to need to play physical and to play in those dirty areas of the ice and send messages. And I thought it was a great start. Nylander was red hot. He had the first 2 goals. He assisted on the third. And, the game kind of swung a little bit when Joseph Woll was forced into the game. The third period, as you would expect, the Florida Panthers made a push. They got 2 quick goals. Nyes ends up with the game winner on a great breakaway. Another breakdown by the Panthers, a bad line change. And Bennett scored late, but the Leafs held on. And, the good news for Joseph Woll is he made some really important saves down the stretch, because I'm going to imagine that he is going to have to play at least in the short term in game 2, and we'll see from there. But tough spot for Joe Woll. He hasn't played in, 3 weeks or so, and he came in and I thought he had some struggles. But the only thing that matters, Kyle, is he got the W, and he made enough saves to win.
Yeah, he did. The first goal, he didn't have a ton of the Panthers' second goal, his first that he let in. Not a lot of a chance on that. The third one, maybe he was deep in his net, but that was a hell of a shot. We've been talking about this all season long, the fact that the Leafs have 2 guys between the pipes capable of being number ones. And now, due to unfortunate circumstances, it's thrust right in front of us, and they're going to play for the foreseeable future. Certainly Wednesday night, you would think, after what we saw, and quite possibly game 3 as well down in Florida with their quote unquote backup goaltender, who's played like a number 1 for most of the season as well, too. So they might be okay, but this is not how the Leafs wanted to proceed from a game 1 victory.
No. I mean, certainly not. I mean, they would love to just continue to ride Anthony Stolarz. He has played so well, but the reality is the reality. I mean, you think about it on the other side for the Florida Panthers, right? I mean, if they get an injury to Bobrovsky, I mean, it's a different story. They have to play a guy who hasn't played a lot this year. So, the Leafs are fortunate. We've talked about that. Both these guys have had a history of injury issues. Neither one of us played long stretches in their career. Joseph Wall probably played more games this year than he's ever played. So he's been rested. Did not play at all in the first round. We'll see how things go for him. But, when the Leafs are playing well and they can put up 5 goals, they're going to have a chance to win. So, I mean, the Florida Panthers, for me, did not play well in the game. They are going to get Aaron Ekblad back in game 2. This is a home game for the Leafs, so it's one of those nights when you really had to win, Kyle. When that game got to 4-3, I was thinking the balance of this series is already at hand, because to lose a game like that and then lose your starting goalie in the game, or the guy that you've gone with throughout the first part of the playoffs, would be a lot to overcome. So credit the Leafs, as they have done in a lot of close games this year. They found a way to win the game, and that's not what would have happened in years gone by.
Yeah, and to me, a huge key in all of this tonight was their very fast start, including Nylander continuing his heater that he's on that ended in game 6 in the last series, killing off the Domi crosscheck penalty early on, though they went ahead and gave up a power play goal to Seth Jones on a too many men penalty, which you just never.
Yeah.
They gave up a goal on a too many men penalty, and Florida gave up a goal late to Nyes on a not enough men play. Because you called that a bad line change, but that was very generous. They were not even close to.
Yes.
But that's just one of those things that happens, a miscommunication, a breakdown. You got to figure Berube was livid about the too many men goal being given up. But again, they responded because Riley came right back and took that goal back from Florida. And that first period start, to me, from what I've seen, the way Florida plays, to get them down early changes the way they play, changes their forecheck, and that could be a key for the Leafs moving through the series.
Hey, listen, Kyle, it changes the way everybody plays. I mean, when you're chasing the game, it's a much more difficult game to play. You don't settle in. You just have you're chasing the whole night, and it makes it more difficult. So I don't care if you're the Florida Panthers, defending champions, or they're the San Jose Sharks with the fewest points. If you get a lead in games, it makes a difference. The Leafs came out on time in this game, got the early goal. John Tavares did not get a point in this game, but he was great getting that screen. Yes. That line, by the way, Craig Berube, give him credit. Max Pacioretty, I mean, he put him in. He stayed with him. And it's Pacioretty, who has been, this is a guy that's been in this league a while. He came back from significant injuries, a big, strong guy. He knows how to play in the playoffs. I mean, that's probably what Berube likes about him, is his size, his willingness to get into those dirty areas, and his experience, and his just desire at this stage of his career. He's had to overcome a couple of significant injuries even to get back playing, and he wins a wall battle early. It comes up to Nylander. Tavares is right on the doorstep. Great screen. Bang, it's 1-0. A little bit later, when that second goal, they get a puck to the net, and then Tavares comes in and takes out basically 2 Florida Panthers. Sturm and Schmidt kind of collide. That leaves Nylander plenty of time to come in and then put that one under the bar. So that line was a force for the Leafs in this game. And, the defense weighed in again. I mean, Chris Tanev and Riley with goals all year long. Their D, they didn't score. Now in the playoffs, all of a sudden the defensemen are all chiming in with goals. So good things are happening for the Leafs, certainly through this first round plus game 1 of round number 2. But there is adversity, and we've seen it, as I say, in the other series. Guys get injured. It's got to be a next man up mentality. And one other quick thing to your point about that too many men penalty, because that was disastrous. They had 8, 9 guys on the ice. I mean, that was ugly. Game. That was ugly. But again, I go back to Berube, because you said, Berube probably had to be livid about that. If Craig Berube is livid, you don't see it very often, right? Yeah. I mean, he keeps his calm and his composure, because if he starts flying off the handle at a mistake when you've had a good start, maybe it throws the bench into disarray. Who knows? I think that's been, again, I go back to it, his demeanor and his willingness to be calm in the face of pressure. He understands mistakes get made. The Leafs were able to kind of come right back. What was it, 19 seconds after the goal, Riley scores, and they're off to the races with 3-1 lead. So, listen, they're up 1-0 in the series. They won a home game. That's all the good news. The bad news, obviously, is they lose Stolarz. We'll see what happens there. And I would expect the Florida Panthers are just going to flat out play better. So that means the Leafs will continue to have to play better.
Yeah, and the good news for Leafs fans and the Leafs in general is they did take the W home tonight, but there is room for improvement. They took
Yeah.
some pretty bad penalties, including the Domi cross check, the too many men on the ice. It's just that's a miscommunication one. So they can improve across the board here, and now they're dealing with a type of adversity that Berube has. It's not been so much injuries throughout the year that he's had to rally them from, but now they've got to refocus around their other number one goalie, which I think they've seen enough from him to have plenty of confidence with him between the pipes, and they'll know that Florida, as you stated, is going to come out sharper. They're going to come out better. They're the defending Stanley
Yep.
Cup champions for a reason, and they just dismantled a very good Tampa Bay Lightning hockey team. So expecting, would you? If you're the Leafs, are you on high alert right now? Not that you're never protecting your goalie, but the way Florida's exhibited their willingness to play a very Tito Santana-esque forearm shiver style of hockey in
Yeah.
these playoffs, their eyes have to be peeled for nonsense around the net right now, because Florida will take penalties and they could very well put a target on Wall.
Well, I mean, they're going to go to the net. That's the bottom
Yes.
line. And Sam Bennett is always going to go to the net, and he
Yes.
went there and he had the elbow up and he clipped Stolarz. I mean, like I look at those kind of plays as kind of accidentally on purpose. It's like
Mhm.
you make it out because the guy I have always felt, Kyle, these guys are so good and they're so talented at what they do. When things happen, there's not a lot of accidents. Let's say I feel that happen on the ice.
I
So
agree.
but listen, you want to win the Stanley Cup. This is fierce competition. This is a battle.
Yeah.
You've got to battle in front of the other net. You've got to make the other goalie uncomfortable. So I mean, it works both ways, and that's why I pointed out earlier. I love that McCabe reverse hit early in the game.
Yeah.
I thought several Leafs delivered some pretty good blows in this game. They took as good as they got, and again, it's just a fierce battle out there. So they're going to have to get in hard on Bobrovsky. They obviously have to protect their goaltender, particularly now with an injury situation. But Joseph Wall is, he's had some moments in his career where he's had important games. And I look at it this way, Kyle. This is really a great opportunity for this guy. I mean, you don't ever want it to happen through an injury, but really for Joseph Wall, I mean, this is a great opportunity to come in and show that, hey, you can rely on me as well. So we'll see where it goes in game number 2, but it's only going to get nastier. It's only going to get more physical. Familiarity breeds contempt, as they say. And if you want to win the series, I mean, you're going to have to be in the battle. So that's what I like about the Leafs this year. They're willing to be in the battle. That's the start. We'll see where it goes in game 2.
If you're Craig Berube heading into game 2 right now, knowing that Florida will obviously make some adjustments to the way they played tonight, what adjustments are you focusing on for your team? What are the areas of improvements he will be taking into practice tomorrow?
Well, I'm still working on the penalty kill for sure. I thought Florida had some good looks. They ended up getting a goal. They were 1 for 3 on the night. So, to me, as we talked about earlier, when these two teams have played, the Panthers have a way of getting that puck in tight. And you saw it, that jam play. That's where Bennett, hit Stolarz with the elbow. They're trying to jam that puck there. So continue to work on the penalty kill for sure. The power play went 0 for 5 tonight. I thought there were moments when it looked really good. There were other moments when I thought they held onto the puck too long. Florida's aggressive when they can be. So that's something to consider. That's an interesting matchup on the 5 forwards against a team that really is a good penalty killing team and a team that scores shorthanded goals. So that's another area that they have to be concerned about. Taking, when you're moving the puck on the power play, you want to move it, but you got to move it smart because you get Reinhardt out there. I mean, that guy I think he's got 8 or 9 shorthanded goals over the last 2 years. So, those are certainly areas for sure. And then just try to get clean exits as best you can. I mean, it's a simple game. Get pucks in, get pucks out. Florida plays a simple game. They want to come in, they want to get the puck in, they want to get that forecheck going. They rim it one way, they rim it the other way, they start working you, and then they get it to the net. For the Leafs, if they can control pucks and get quick exits, that will certainly alleviate some of that pressure. But it's just not easy because Florida is the best forechecking team in the league.
Yeah, and to the point of the Leafs power play, they actually didn't run the 5 forwards every time tonight.
Yeah.
Do you think that adjustment is in response to Florida's prowess on the penalty kill?
Well, I mean, I think it's something you think about, right?
Yeah.
Just because they are dangerous, and it might be game situations. I mean, if you're up a couple of goals, you're on a power play, maybe you're thinking about more of, hey, game management here.
Mhm.
Let's make sure we have a defenseman out there. So those are all things that go into it, but they're well aware of what Florida can do shorthanded. And, shorthanded goals, I mean, we saw in the last series when Ottawa scored shorthanded, they won both of those games, right? They won
Yeah.
game 4 and game 5 and with shorthanded goals as part of the mix. So, certainly the Leafs are trying to avoid that. But, they had 5 power play opportunities tonight, Kyle. You'd like to cash on at least one of them because, you're not going to always have a 3-0 or, a 3-1, 4-1 lead. I mean, tonight was unique. Listen, if it happens again, that's great. Be great if it happened in every game. But I'm gonna guess the Florida Panthers are gonna be a little bit better and a little bit harder to deal with in game 2. And it's a great opportunity for the Leafs now to hold serve at home and put some pressure on the Florida Panthers.
A game 2 win at home would be incredible for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but equally as incredible for the Florida Panthers to steal back home ice, going back into their very loud building. And speaking of buildings, I was actually somewhat impressed by the crowd at Scotiabank tonight. I felt as though they got into the chance when their team had lost the momentum in the third period. I felt like they were even keeled and they had a lot to cheer for early on, which does
Yeah,
seem to play. Maybe that's why I'm so fixated on the Leafs having such a strong start. It has nothing to do with every team playing better ahead and everything to do with keeping their crowd awake. And I've been hard on them all playoff long, and I was
yeah,
hard on them late in the season, but credit where
yeah.
credit is due. I thought the Scotiabank crowd was lively tonight and exactly the type of support that they need at home.
Yeah, and if I would listen, fans come to the game, they need to have things to get them going in games, right? But if I would say this Leaf team has earned the support of the fan base this year. They are a
Yeah.
different team. Whether the result in this series is not what you want or not, they are, I think, an underdog against the defending Stanley Cup champion. Go into that building if you're a fan. Go in there and be revved up. Really try
Yeah.
to get the team going and stay behind them because they are going to need it. We heard Scott Arniel talked about the impact of the Winnipeg crowd on his team and on their bench in the critical game 7. So you just never know. I mean, these guys are pros. They that's all. It's all kind of white noise in some ways for
Mhm.
these guys. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, you're paying a lot of money for those tickets. It's the second round of the playoffs. The Toronto Maple Leafs, they haven't won in a long time, but this is a good team they have here. And, I think they've earned the support of the fan base this season with the effort they've given throughout.
I think so too. And I think if you don't see the differences in this Leafs team, which we've discussed at length this season long, then maybe you don't understand hockey as well as those $3,000 seats you're sitting in would convey. One last note on tonight's game.
Yeah.
Bobrovsky at times looked a little bit shaky, but he did come through. He made a big save on Domi in alone with 7 minutes left to keep the game very close for Florida. What did you think of his play?
Well, it was uneven, right? But
Yeah.
as is the case with someone like Sergei Bobrovsky, you pointed it out. When the game got tight, and he needed to make a big stop to keep him in it, he made quite a few. And so I thought he got better as the game went along. He did get beat on the great play by Matthew Nyes. Another great play by Matthew Nyes on that breakaway. I mean, coming in, going a little forehand, backhand, upstairs over the glove. Just a great play. Matthew Nyes is really kind of coming into his own in this playoff run. And I can remember when he first joined the Leafs 2 years ago, they played the Florida Panthers in the first round, and Sam Bennett delivered a blow to him behind the net that knocked him right out of the playoffs. And I think that Matthew Nyes has a long memory, and he's been the one that's been delivering the blows pretty much since then. And it's to have another big, strong power forward now that has a little more experience, a little more playoff experience. I mean, this kid has a chance to be one of those really difference-making power forwards. So great pick in the draft a couple years back. And, with another huge goal tonight for Matthew Nyes. And the crazy thing, too, in the game, I got a feel for Austin Matthews a little bit.
Yeah.
He makes a good play in the neutral zone with 50 seconds left. He's got an open net that I probably could have hit from like about, just inside the red line there, half ice, and he just misses the net. I mean,
He missed it by 10 feet too.
Yeah, and I just shake my head. This is one of the best goal scorers in hockey.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
and I've just, in these big moments, he hits posts, he misses an open net. Like, he gets his goals, but boy, oh boy, I mean, I feel for him because it just
Yeah.
seems like it sometimes can be more of a struggle than it needs to be. But I was thinking about him as those final seconds were ticking down and Florida was getting opportunities. I mean, those are things that happen in a game when your team doesn't hold on, that they're going to replay that over and over and over again. In this case, the team won, so you and I will talk about it for 2 minutes, and that'll be the end of it.
That's right.
But wow, that could have been a bad omen right there.
I wish I could share my screen right now, because in my game notes,
Yeah.
in bold highlighted text, it says Matthews net miss. Will we be hearing about this for a decade? And it turns out they hold on to win the game, and it's just a footnote. I had another note in here in Matthews that wasn't offensive related. They were on a power play in the second period, and a puck nearly cleared the zone, and he dove fully stretched the stick to keep it in.
Stretched out.
Yeah, he stretched out, and he was right back on his feet, and he controlled the power play right from that position. And when people are complaining about him not putting the puck in the net enough while they're still winning, to make a point of, they seem to miss these little things he does in the complete game. It's like it's not like the guy's not hustling. Like, come on, man. Like, he's playing a captain's game, and would it be great for the Leafs if he scored more? Yes, but they're not losing games with one goal on the board.
And listen, the biggest goals are still to come, right? So
yes.
We'll see what happens. And another thing, I'll give you another Austin Matthews note. Clean face-off win over Barkov. Back right to the D to D to Tanev, and he throws that knuckle puck into the net past Bobrovsky. So, but that doesn't happen without a clean face-off win by Matthews against a really big, strong, good centerman like Barkov. So there's another little piece of it for Matthews in this game. I thought he played very, very well. But when I saw that he missed that net, I just shook my head. I was like, how does it? I mean, like I said, and I'm not joking. I can hit the net from there. Yeah. Like, I just couldn't believe it, but these things happen.
Yeah, they happen. And now it's just a footnote and a funny talking point. And that's all there is to it. So before we get to the draft lottery, which I want to close with tonight, we have to talk about the last two nights and the absolute theater the NHL playoffs put on for us with 2 Game 7s. Let's start with the Mikko Rantanen show in Dallas Friday night. Colorado going into the third period with a 2-0 win. Sorry, with a 2-0 lead. They were in control. Recap what happened from there.
Yeah, I mean, like, McKinnon scores very early in the third, 2-0, and it looks like the Dallas Stars are dead in the water. But then Mikko Rantanen, I mean, what a story. I mean, he starts the season in Colorado. He was part of their Cup team in 22. He gets traded in a shocking trade kind of in the middle of the season to Carolina. And then, he doesn't really look like it's working out there. He kind of forces his hand, gets traded to Dallas. Remember, there was some talk of Mitch Marner waving and going to Canada. Remember that whole discussion, right?
Yeah.
Because Rantanen is such a high-end player. He ends up in Dallas, and in the first round, he's against his former team in round number 1. It didn't start out great for him, but in the last 3 games, he was dynamic. He had back-to-back 4-point games, back-to-back 4-point periods, because he had 4 points in period number 2 of Game 6, and then 4 points in period number 3 of Game 7. But, he gets him on the board. He gets that wraparound off Sam Girard to tie it at 2. They get the power play goal by Wyatt Johnson, and then Rantanen scores the empty netter to finish off, similar maybe in my mind to like Mark Messier against the Devils in Game 6 of 1994. I mean, different in different circumstances, but, guy did guarantee a win and then scored a hat trick. In this case, a former teammate comes through against his ex-team and puts up 3 goals in the third period. So just one of those performances, Kyle, that 30 years from now people will be talking about it because so like I'm mentioning Messier, that was 30 years ago, 1994, right? You're going to be talking about the lore and legend of our great game in the years to come. It'd be like, I remember when Mikko Rantanen had that night against the Colorado Avalanche. So great night, and also Pete DeBoer, talk about coaching. Yeah. He double shifted Rantanen. He saw he was going. He put him out between his fourth liners. He was out there with Sam Steele. Sam Steele made a great play to kind of pick off a couple of Avalanche players giving room for Rantanen, and that's how they scored the first goal. So coaching comes in handy here because DeBoer saw that the big horse was running, and he got him out there and double shift him, and it paid off.
You know, it's been an interesting ride for Dallas too, because, you know, they came into the playoffs a little bit injured. They came in to play a really good Colorado team that they nearly let this series slip away. Now, as of this morning on Bet Rivers, they were the favorites to win the Stanley Cup at plus 450, which is just a roller coaster of emotions for them. But you have to figure, you know, they've had some time to settle in now. I don't necessarily disagree with that. Florida, of course, is well, we'll see how that changes tomorrow, but they were
Hey,
the
listen,
second favorite.
It's hard to, well, listen, face it, it's hard to win the Stanley Cup. And
Yeah.
I just always think, you know, you got to get, I mean, maybe it sounds silly to say, but you've got to get out of the first round because that seems like almost the hardest round for all these teams because the teams are really kind of at their best in the first round. Usually the second round, third round, there's more injuries, there's more wear and tear. It's a little, you know, but there's only, now you only have a couple series. That first round, we've seen so many really good teams fall. And this weekend we saw it. I mean, the Colorado Avalanche are a terrific team. And they fall apart in the third period, lose to a team that was without their best defenseman in Miro Heiskanen and without one of their best forwards in Jason Robertson, maybe their best, right? I mean, think about where the Avalanche would have been if there was no Makar and, you know, no McKinnon, right? I mean, it's amazing that the Stars were able to get through a 7-game series. They found ways to win. And for all these series, and for Leaf fans out there tonight, right, they got it done. They found a way to win the game because in these series, it's hard enough to win 4 games. It's really hard when you have games that you should win and you don't, because then you have to win a 5th game or a 6th game in a series. Almost impossible to do. Colorado had 2 games, game 2 and game 3, where they lost overtime games. They had power play opportunities, couldn't get it done. They let Dallas hang around to game 7. And in the end, the Stars had a great third period led by Mikko Rantanen, and now they're off to the second round.
Yes, they are. And of course, they will be joined in the second round by the Winnipeg Jets.
The Jets,
who executed nothing shy of a miraculous comeback last night. What a thrilling double overtime victory. What a comeback goal to tie it up. What was it, 1.6 seconds left or something?
Something along those lines. I think they put another second back on the clock, but it doesn't matter. The game was literally over.
Yeah.
And somehow the Winnipeg Jets execute a terrific play. Ehlers fans on a shot. Lowry punches it back to him. Like, I don't know. Most people in that spot, Kyle, I think would have just thrown it at the net.
Yes.
But these guys, again, they're such great players. They have such a keen awareness of the situation. He goes hard cross ice to Kyle Connor, who gets it right back through, and Perfetti, who made a brilliant tip to score the first goal of the game for Winnipeg, gets another one and ties it up, sends the place into it's just bedlam. I mean, I would have given anything as a hockey fan, Kyle, to be in Dallas on Saturday night and Winnipeg on Sunday night, because, I mean, those fan bases just, you know, I mean, this is not something you expect. And they were just both wild with joy. And then the Jets in the second overtime got to win it. So, you know, good news. Connor Hellebuck played better as that game went along. Maybe he's rediscovered his game. Of course, at home, he's been better than on the road. We'll see. We'll see if Dallas gets their players back. And now Winnipeg has to worry. We have to wonder, is Scheifele going to be ready to play, or when will he be able to play? And Josh Morrissey, the same thing, as he left game 7 early and did not return.
Yeah, and the Hellebuck question still up in the air. He was pulled multiple times in the series. He didn't play well on the road, but he did stop every shot in almost 2 full overtimes in a game 7 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And if that doesn't prove to himself and to his teammates that he's the guy, nothing will. And it's going to be very interesting to see how he comes out in the next round. But again, just absolutely thrilling hockey. And as great as it would have been to have attended both of those games, knowing myself as I do, had I been in Dallas Saturday night for that game, I would not have made the flight to Winnipeg because I would have been partying with those fans. I would have been watching that in a bar in Dallas, just so you know.
Okay. All right.
But absolutely incredible theater. The NHL playoffs are absolutely untouchable. untouchable, especially when you see what happens in something like the NBA in the first round with all the blowouts and a series ending on like a 58-point loss in round one. The NHL playoffs are untouchable. Let's continue with more NHL talk because the draft lottery went tonight, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. And it was interesting because it was the first time that they showed the actual draw live. In the past, they have the lottery machine, they do it in a sequestered area with very few people there, and then they basically reenact, the picks. They just announced the picks 116 down to 1. I love this. I thought there was real drama here. I thought it was really well produced back at the NHL Network studios there. Everybody involved with that did a terrific job. I thought John Buccigross as the host was really good in explaining things very clearly to the viewers with the numbers. They had a graphic up, so the first 3 balls came up, and it's a sequence of numbers, and every team is assigned a certain amount of those numbers, and they pulled the first 3, and with that combination of 3, they basically were able to let the viewer know whatever ball comes up next. Like the Islanders had 5 and 13. If either one of those balls came up, they win the lottery. As it turned out, 13 came up, they won. If it had been 1 or 10, the Penguins would have won the lottery. If it had been number 2, the Sabres would have won the lottery. So it was really interesting to see it live. I thought the drama was great. And for the New York Islanders, Kenny Morrow, the Olympic hero from 1980, 4-time Stanley Cup champion, wins again as he was representing the Islanders in the absence of a general manager, and he was thrilled. So congratulations to the Islanders, and congratulations to the Utah Hockey Club, who moved up from 14th to 4th big in the draft, which is a big break for them.
Yeah, and the Islanders, they had the 10th best chance at only 3.5% to get the number 1 pick. And this is, tying it back to the Leafs now, their first number 1 pick since 2009 when they drafted Mr. John Tavares.
Right.
So, but I'm going to quickly read the top 5 here. The Islanders will pick number 1, the Sharks number 2, Chicago's number 3, Utah Hockey Club, as you just mentioned, number 4, and the Predators round out the top 5. I do like what you mentioned about the production value. The theater they've had basically in this entire calendar year 2025 since 4 Nations, hockey's on fire right now. They just had one of the greatest first rounds of playoffs we've seen in a long time. The 4 Nations put the game on a stage we haven't seen in quite some time, and now to showcase their game, it's fun. It was fun what they did tonight. It's fun to make, like, if just learn from how the NFL does things and how they market 12 months a year and everything. Smart of hockey to do it this way, to draw attention to their second round of the playoffs with production like this.
Yeah, it did a great job. That's I think it was Steve Mayer was the one who pushed for that. The head of content over at the NHL. He's done a great job with events for many years, and I thought it went really well. I really enjoyed watching it, and there was no chance of anybody leaking anything because there was nothing to leak. It was live, so I thought it was terrific.
Yeah, it really was. So we'll wrap on there. Once again tonight, the Toronto Maple Leafs hang on to win 5-4, Game 1, taken at home in Toronto. We both expect both teams to be better in Game 2. We're all thinking about Anthony Stolarz right now. We hope he's okay. We hope most of the measures taken tonight are precautionary. We're going to have to wait for some overnight reports and see. We'll be back for Game 2. Expect another barn burner. Enjoy the rest of the games of the first round of the playoffs, too. Once again, for the Toronto Sports Rush, brought to you by the Bet Rivers Network. My name is Kyle Andrew, thanking my colleague, Mr. EJ Hradek, for joining me once again. Have a great night, everyone.